All right, guys. So I want to talk about this real estate rock star, new to the business, was a police officer back in the day. So obviously they understand structure of life. Signed up for my one-on-one coaching. She shot me a DM, and I'm like, well, why not just do it now? And she's so funny because she would always ask me 24/7, like, when's it going to happen? When am I going to get these deals? And I'm like, well, you're brand new. It takes time. It takes consistency. We got to build out the content. We've got to build out systems. And I said, and one day you're going to feel it hit. And then you're going to be like, all this work that you put in went and it just hit this week in a sense, right? So you got like 3 listing appointments, a couple
Mhm.
buyers, duplex you're going to list beyond that. And you got that. So basically 6 deals in the last 10 days.
Yeah.
And you've closed a couple deals before.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about this because I think a lot of agents go into panic mode, and I could say that maybe you've been there. You've been there a little bit of the panic mode.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that I love about when I get on calls with you is you literally track from the moment you wake up until you go to bed, knowing how important you think it is for people to like make sure they get up early to be productive. Because you're a mom, you're a wife,
Mhm.
you've got a balanced life. So how important do you feel that that was a big shift in your business to be up early? And what time do you wake up?
For me, it's really important to get up early because as soon as the baby wakes up, my day kind of stops for a little bit. So I wake up around 4:30. That's
Right.
my, I try 4. It just depends what time I go to bed at night,
Okay.
but between 4 and 4:30. And that's like my me time. So I get my cup of coffee, I focus, I watch some training, um, and then I structure my day out. I'll say, I have my little planner that I write down what I'm going to do. And I tracked my day for every 15 minutes for like 5 days. And that was so hard. But you realize how much time you waste. Like, okay, so my phone goes off, like you said, we pick up our phone, have a purpose for it. But I picked up my phone and somebody would text me, and then I would go into, oh, I'm scrolling on Instagram for no reason. So I track my time for every 15 minutes for like 5 days to see like how much garbage I do during the day. And then I kind of refocused my day. So wake up 4 to 4:30 every day, plan out the rest of the day. I get my training in, I get my cup of coffee, my alone time, my sanity time. And then I do all my, I go through the birthdays and see whose birthday is coming up. I make sure and do, at least 10 messages or likes on Facebook and then on Instagram. And I usually end up doing more than 10, but I have my minimum of 10. Once I'm done with that, then I go back to training, or I'll do my YouTube channels that I'm trying to really, really set up right now. But so that's kind of how my morning goes. And once the baby wakes up, it's like, okay, everything stops. So
Right.
I don't go on my
Right.
Instagram or anything else. And then once he's like kind of settled and he goes for his nap, then it's like, okay, prospecting or checking my DMs, which usually I have about like 5 or 6 from each side now, which is getting consistent. And it's not always, oh, I want to
Let
buy
me
a house.
pause you there. Let me pause you there because when we first started, you were all about Instagram. And I said, look, Facebook's where you're going to build a little bit more meaningful stuff, but you got to be consistent. It's got to be different content. You can't post the same stuff. And, we fixed a lot of the mistakes and having out there, but now you're getting like a 50-50 kind of even balance of that because you're starting to be, you're balancing your content in a sense. And I think that's great. But what I like about what you do, like you said, I'm ramping up the YouTube. I think when I watch from an outside perspective, and obviously we have these coaching calls
Mhm.
one on one every week, but you're having fun doing it because, like, I can see you laughing and see you get. So, what I think a lot of people struggle. It's like if there's an agent watching this right now, how do you? I mean, for me, it's like sometimes I'll take a shot of tequila just to calm me down. I've done it for so long, but what was the determining factor to going like, okay, number one, I need to get these videos done, but how do I make it fun doing it? So fill me in on that because I think people really struggle with that to get it going. And you're taking the bull by the horns as a, I mean, you're how long you been an agent now?
Since April.
Okay, so you've been for 7 months.
Mhm.
You've been coached by me now for a few months, so one on one. Before you got direction led out to pasture to do all the shit that doesn't work, right? But tell me how you make videos so much fun because I do watch it from an outside perspective.
Yeah, so like my whole last 12 years has been stay off social media, don't be on social media. So it was actually really hard for me at first. I would film myself and I actually deleted some of the videos off of YouTube because they were so bad. And it's me like, I had my little ring light and I'm like, hello. And I started to like nobody watched them. Like I looked at the like you said to do, look at the data, how much interaction do you get? And it was like one person. And so somebody told me, just a random person watching, hey, I really like that video when you were talking. You said it too, but in the car. You were talking in the car because I love my me time in the car. And I was like, okay, so people want you to make mistakes and be you. And so once I realized just calm the fuck down and be yourself. Stop trying to like read a script and just kind of plan it out what you're going to say. Have an idea. Don't go in blindly. That's my biggest advice. Don't be like, I'm going to make a video right now and I'm going to wing it. Have like some kind of structure. Like, this is what I'm going to talk about today. Today, I'm going to talk about, um, something related to real estate, but also what do I do consistently every day that I think other people can relate to? So for me, I have my go-to of sitting in the car when I get home from work. I'll sit down in the car and like, okay, my like 5-10 minutes of alone time in the car. And I feel like when you start connecting with people and be yourself, a shot of tequila does help. I will definitely agree if you like, but in the beginning, but now I'm at a point where I don't care if I mess up or look stupid because it's like everybody does. And so once you realize that, people really appreciate the authenticity, then it's like, okay. And then you have to also not care. Reading that book, How Not The Subtle Way of Not Giving a Fuck, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, really, really helps too. So I think when reading stuff like that, just to kind of help your change your, I don't want to say mindset because to be honest with you, it's like you either have it or you don't. You either want it or you don't want it. So it's not really a mindset, it's more of a structure thing and little cues to help you not care anymore. And being in front of a camera was really, really a hard transition for me initially. But then once you realize that people don't want you to sit here and read a book, hello, my name is Sarah. Welcome to my YouTube. Nobody cares. No, like you're gonna lose everyone's attention. But if you're like, hey, like this fucking sucks. Like today was a hard day. I have 100 kids. I'm always in the hospital. But hey, you know what? I still got my workout in and I still contacted all my clients today. Something like that's going to make people more involved. And
Let's talk about that because I think so many people make excuses of why they can't get things done, and you had holy cow. Sometimes I'm just like, man, when it just keeps flowing. But
yeah,
I think obviously you get a lot of stuff done because you wake up early, and I think a lot of people don't understand the benefits of getting up early before the chaos. I think it's a mindset thing. I love that. When we first started, I'm like, dude, you're never gonna know unless you really dive in and what the hell you're doing in a day, because we really don't. We don't realize that we're wasting hours a day just doing nothing. And we say, well, we don't have time to do this, or I'm too busy to do this. And it helps you get focused and refocused because with me listening to you, you say, well, now I know what I need to do when the baby goes to sleep, or you got to take kids to school, or a client's coming in, and now you've got all these deals going. I think content help with that, but I think you understanding the structure of your day. I'm sure you got a little bit of anxiety with all these all the people coming in that are reaching out to you,
oh
but I
yeah,
think you have less anxiety with the structure of how you've built it. So if agents always ask, "Oh, how'd you get your business? How does stuff go?" Well, number one, it's consistency, and you're very, very, very good at that. And number two, you have fun. You're very likable. I would agree at the beginning, you were always like, I just want to get home. And I said, dude, stop posting so much about home and talk about your family and your life and your dancing and date nights and the fishings and beers at 5 a.m. in the morning going fishing sometimes. And and just life is the balance. So from you see the old school training and you see kind of the new training where it is, how important is it to just, because I'm always about checklists, like don't change the way you do business with anybody.
yep.
How important do you feel it is to have that structure of like kind of the stuff that I give you for the content of like, hey, it's got to flow this way?
Mhm.
Does that like ease the anxiety a little bit, obviously, in your day? But like, what other techniques have you added beyond just the things that I give you? And your dog's even in the
I
interview.
know you do though.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But
I have enough on
but
my plate.
but let's just say about that. Like, obviously, you have checklists, have structure. You track everything, which I think the biggest thing people don't track. How
Mhm.
important do you think it is for tracking to be able to build better systems for even what you might want to add to your business?
The tracking, number 1, is, like, the most important thing because if you look at it, like my beginning videos, how you when you said to start looking at your interactions and stuff and tracking what time people watch it, how many people watch it, how many people engage in it, and I realized, okay, I get, like, 0. Like, it almost said, like, -5, stop trying in the beginning. It was just, like, it's that bad. And and then once I started tracking, my data, that helped a lot, and then tracking what I do helped me kind of be more like, "Well, you waste a shit ton of time." Yeah, having kids and stuff is also it's not a waste of time doing that, but when I had the mentality of, "Okay, I have alone time now, I'm gonna just, like, chill and watch, like, a little news, or I'm gonna scroll on my phone." But it's like, "No, like, you didn't earn that time. If you wanna do that, wake up at 4 o'clock and have your little 30 minutes of, like, garbage time if you need it." But I realized I really don't need that time. It's kind of what it turned into. When you start to track and you have more purposeful, activities, you really don't need, like, nonsense, and our brains are turning to mush looking at that crap anyways. But it really, really when you have a structure, when you start tracking what you do, it kind of lines everything up and you start getting rid of all the garbage. Because now it's like the times where I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna relax now," that was my money making time. That's when a lot of people were interacting with some of my stuff. So it's like, why would I sit here and be looking at other people's stuff on Instagram when I could be interacting with my clients?
I
So
love
that's
that.
yeah, that's what tracking like really helped me focus on. We're like, okay, so I know at 9 a.m., at at 12 p.m., at 3 p.m., 6 and 9, people are like super engaged on my pages. So I'm going to make sure that I post something on that and I'm going to interact with people at that time. So that was kind of a really big thing for me as far as tracking. And I had to make sure I have alarms go off at those times to post and to interact because I won't remember if it's not in my calendar, if it's not on alarm. I just won't. I have too much stuff going in my head. If it's literally not in my calendar and I don't have an alarm, I will not do it.
So
So that's what I learned.
it's funny to me. People are always like, "Well, how do you remember how to do this?" And I tell people all the time, "Put it in your calendar, set an alarm." I mean, that's
Yeah.
why I put it in my training because those were the worst characteristical flaws that I think anybody has, and especially that um, people don't like to track because I think it calls them out on their bullshit of like, "Do I really have the time or I don't?" Now, one of the final questions: how excited were you to text me about all these deals that are coming in? Because I could feel it through the phone, and I even told my wife, I was like, "Man," I go, "She's gonna kill it." And I said, and I told you, I said, "If you had the talent, we'll easily get you to where you're doing 3 to 4 deals a month." And you were just like, "Oh," you kind of self doubted yourself for a little bit. You kind of had the little bit, but now it's coming. It's coming around. It's and you kind of were working with a network where you realize that they always want discounted stuff for free, and we talked about that. We don't even bring that up, but these people that are reaching out to you because they see you, right? They're noticing you. You're everywhere at once, and you don't have to be there. How good does that feel knowing that being consistent, tracking, but following just a simple of how I tell you to put your business together? It's just a breath of fresh air versus you were getting trained to go do all these random things that were never of a consistency of anything. It was like, okay, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
How excited are you about your business going forward?
I'm like just so like beyond excited. I mean, I literally had like a come to Jesus moment last week where I was like, oh my gosh, like I think I'm gonna have to get a job. Like I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like I have a family to support and then it just and I had a gut feeling like, you know what, like I have faith in myself, number one. I have faith in you. And as part of my struggle in the beginning was not listening to everything you said. And I still kind of struggle with that. But I was like, I'm consistent for the most part. I want to say it's the 80/20, right? That's
Yeah.
what's his my gosh, I can't think of his name, but it's a rule. Somebody will remember it, but it's the 80/20 rule. And where 20% of the work that you do results in 80% of the or 80% of the results. I said that I totally butchered it. You have to look it up. But, I was so excited about it because I was struggling. I was literally struggling. I'm like, I don't care how bad I'm struggling up here. I'm gonna be consistent with my schedule. Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna keep doing it, keep pushing because I know it's gonna happen. And then boom, literally this in the last like 2 weeks, for starting like what, last Wednesday? So, not even a full week, I've had So many people reach out, 2 new buyers, 1 listing, and 3 listing appointments for Friday. So I was just like, and then I kind of was like, fuck, what, like, okay, now I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. So now I need to like, but then I resort back to like, oh wait, yes, I do. I have all my videos. I have my checklist. I have my buyer's checklist. So every single person I've onboarded, I have like a little all about me link now because like one thing we talked about was the form. I was like, well, nobody fills it out. You're like, nobody wants to fill stuff out. And so, but what I turned it into was like a type form and it's a link. So they click on it and it's like answer, and then it sends it back to me. And now people do it because
Love it.
it's so much easier on your phone. So I learned that also that yeah, people don't fill stuff out
We're
unless you do
learning
it.
stuff. We're learning stuff as it goes, and it's funny because you're like, I want to do the coaching, and I still remember our DM. You put in a 7,000 air conditioning unit, and you're like, oh, I'm going to do the one on night, and I literally had one spot, and I go, well, what are you waiting for? Because when somebody takes it now, you got to wait to really get the in depth. And the cool thing is that I will say for you, and like why I wanted to do this interview was that you're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes,
Mhm.
but the best thing I would say about you as a coaching client and why you're coachable and why you're doing where you are is you admit that you made a mistake. You
Yeah.
admit that nothing's perfect. And I know for sometimes you're like, I'm doing all these things, and I've got to see. I'm like, okay, let's slow down now. Let's talk about all these things you're doing and how much of them are you doing. And people are complain about whatever market's going to be, whether it's rates or inventory, but you're a brand new agent, and the way I look at it is you just took 6 deals from people because number one, you're everywhere, you're on social media, you're doing the tasks, but the videos really help. But where I really think you hit the nail on the head is you're just being yourself. And I think when a lot of agents come in, they think that they need to be so structured. Like for me, people like me or they don't. I don't care either way. But that's what's made me successful is that I'm a real person. And I think where your success is that you're a real person, you tell your stories, you have fun, you include your family in your stuff where a lot of people are scared from that, but couldn't be more proud of you. And I this is just the beginning. I mean, you think about the 6 deals and the commissions that you're going to make off that, which are great, but the people that you're going to help also impact. But also you've done the lead gen activities to get their friends of friends and the onboarding and getting them in your group and the video content, and you're paying attention where a lot of people don't. And I told you at the very beginning, as a new agent, you don't really have bad habits.
Yeah.
You had bad habits when you were with another brokerage and they were trying to tell you to do all these things that obviously didn't get you anywhere. So we
Right.
had to do a 90-day reset. But I love it that you keep it simple. Okay, so last question. What why is it so important to just kind of keep it simple?
Because if you don't keep it simple, you overthink it and then you get nothing done. So initially it was like, okay, I'm going to write down everything I'm going to do. And then I would do none of it because it was too much. It was very like overwhelming. Like, how am I going to get through all this stuff? And you look at like, it's like, so then I broke it down to like, okay, what am I going to do in the next like day? Okay. What am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do this week? So then I would plan Sundays. I've honestly been turning my Monday mornings into my Sunday nights. So I wake up early and I'll plan my week out then because it's worked a little bit easier. Sunday, I'm trying to like, you know,
Perfect.
I'm doing
Yeah,
open houses every Sunday. So Monday morning, I get up and I plan my week. And so I'll say, okay, today, I'm going to focus on finishing my YouTube channel, but I'm not going to do the whole channel. I'm going to do one video. So I think when you just break it down into, okay, um, and before that, let me take a step back. I had to do checklists. Like, what do I do? And this is what you told me from the beginning. Make a checklist when you work with the buyer. What do you do? Write down all the questions your buyers ask you. And so that's what I did. I write them all down. And then same thing with the seller. And so I haven't had a listing. This is my first listing since we've been coaching. I've only had one listing before, and it was before I started coaching with you. And so I'm writing down questions that the sellers have now, like additional ones. So it's not just I have my whole videos. If you're a buyer, here's what you get. You get like 7 different videos walking me through every process. And then sellers, that's what I'm working on still. But then I also have like a frequently asked questions video section that I'm working on. So if you write that all down on one page, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm never going to get this done. Because that's what happened to me in the beginning. I was like,
right.
there's no, I'm just going to not do anything. So if you start looking at it as one video a day, answer the questions, build your YouTube channel for your sellers, for your buyers, and you start working that way, then it just makes it easier because in 1 week, if you do one video every single day, that's 7 videos. Okay, so in like 3 days, I finished my buyers. And I have, and then the next 7 days, I have content for like 2 weeks right now in my phone because I'm simplifying and doing one a day. And then, because posting once a day also, like a lot of people will post like 100 times a day. And I was guilty of that in the beginning. Like, oh, like I have so much fun stuff. I'm just going to post it all at once. And you're like, dude, you have enough content for 2 weeks. Just do one a day.
Right.
And so simplifying everything really helps because you look at it, our brains, like, yeah, our brains all have ADD, but our brains can only focus on one thing. So if you write 100 things, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get it done. Then you just psychologically like psych yourself out.
Right.
So simplifying everything really, really helped too. Because I did look at it like, oh my gosh, when I think I forgot one of our masterminds, someone, I forget what his name is, Troy, right, Troy.
Yeah.
I asked him like, how long did it take you to make your system? And he was like, oh, dude, I was on vacation. I shut the office. I told my wife, I'm gonna do this. Don't bother me. And he like knocked it out in like a day or two. And so I was like, dang, a day or two. I don't have the same like luxury of that. It's a little
Right.
bit different. My time is limited, but I'm getting it done. So checklist to simplify everything, and then don't plan too much crap in your day. Your essentials like your training time, your video content recording, your prospecting, your DMs and all that stuff, your likes, and you make sure you have those things, your essentials that you're gonna do, and then program in like like you said, your family time. I will have like an X out. Okay, after this time, it's family time. Like
Shut it
I'll
off.
just simplify everything. Just simplify it. As simple as that, family time. Simple as coffee. When am I gonna drink my coffee? When am I gonna go on it's just simple, simplify.
Right.
And the biggest thing, and this is what everyone has said, every person that I've listened to you interview and you talk about is slow the fuck down. Slow the fuck down.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're not gonna get anything done and you're gonna give up.
I agree. I mean, the easiest thing is to do is give up, and we all have those moments where we're like, okay, now what am I going to do? I'm trying to do all this work. I don't see instant success, but now you're seeing long-term success. So I think that's amazing. But yeah, I mean, I think you're doing great, and I want to thank you for the time of being on this interview. And
Yeah.
you're a rock star. And a year from now, we're going to talk about all the other great things that you've accomplished and your numbers. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.